It's personal between me and you, and I'm going to do you some serious harm, you big stiff idiot.
The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing games are missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, y'all can save the date. Really interesting things going on in the world of boxing right now. Y'all can save the date. July the 30th on Showtime at the Barclays Center. You know, one of the biggest ticket sellers, if not the biggest ticket seller in the history of the Barclays Center, returns to the sport after a year and some change layoff. Danny Garcia, he'll be making his long talked about debut at 154 pounds. And I gotta say, this is very, very creative matchmaking, because as sharp as I am thinking about matchups and things like that, I didn't even think of this one, all right? Danny Garcia will be returning to the ring to take on none other than Jose Benavidez Jr. And I'll say this, Danny Garcia is not a natural 154 pounder. So for him to be fighting a guy like Jose Benavidez Jr. in his first fight at 154, you know, it'd be very easy to criticize, which, you know, people are going to do, which, you know, fair play to him. But I think it's a good opponent for him. It'll be someone that he can get a win against, look good against, and jump up some interest in his career, because truth be told, you know, we haven't really seen much of Danny Garcia since he lost to Earl Spence, and his last couple of performances haven't been, you know, the best performances. But Danny Garcia, big name, big attraction, you know, it would definitely be the biggest name at 154. And a lot of guys at 54 have already expressed interest about fighting him in the past, such as like Tony Harrison and guys like this. I could definitely see, if Jermell Charlo stays in the weight class for another year or so, I could definitely see a massive fight being made between him and Jermell Charlo, because, again, if the dollars make sense, then the business of boxing will make things happen. And I think with Charlo becoming undisputed, becoming a much bigger name in the sport over the last few years, and Danny Garcia being who he is, that's a fight that could happen. But let's talk about what's in front of us, not what's ahead of us. July the 30th, he's fighting Jose Benavidez Jr. Now, Jose Benavidez Jr., you know, we know that when he fought Terrence Crawford, you know, he took Crawford almost the full 12 rounds. He came the closest to taking Crawford the distance of anybody over the last, you know, 5 or 6 years since Crawford's been on this like knockout streak. So it's a common opponent with Crawford. Maybe if Crawford maneuvers his way to PBC, this could be an option for Crawford down the road. That Danny and Crawford have a little bit of history from the amateur, so look out for that. But Benavidez Jr., he is what he is. You know, he was a very, very once promising fighter. Was one of the most talented young amateur fighters in this country, but, you know, has then since regressed due to inactivity, lack of development as a fighter. I think he got shot in the leg, so, you know, he only has one leg, and people always say when Crawford beat him, he only beat a guy with one leg. Now Danny's fighting him. Benavidez Jr., I had a chance to watch his last fight. What was his last fight? He fought on the undercard of David Benavidez, Kyron Davis, and he fought the Argentinian Manu Torres. And I remember I watched that fight with my boy down in North Las Vegas, Johnny Cortillo. Shout out to him. And he's like a aficionado on Argentinian boxing. So he was telling me about everything going on with Manu Torres, how good he is and how good he isn't. Mostly it was about how good he isn't. And he told me in that fight, he said, the fight against Benavidez Jr., that was the fight where he put it all together. You know, he's seen him fight guys, domestic level Argentinian fighters, and not look so hot, not look so good against them. But he looked really great against Jose Benavidez Jr., and he really didn't do a whole lot. But he boxed him well. I'm not sure what Danny Garcia's power is going to look like going up to 154. But if it carries up even in the slightest bit, and Danny Garcia doesn't just sit there and stare at his opponent the whole fight after, you know, landing a nice counter shot, he should be able to get him out of there. But, you know, that's the thing about Danny Garcia. That's kind of what makes things interesting about Danny Garcia in his career, you know, and this fight. Because as much as I feel like Danny Garcia should be going out there and knocking the hell out of Jose Benavidez Jr., there's always that chance where I feel like if Benavidez can survive the first couple of rounds and whatnot, I feel like there's always that chance for Jose Benavidez Jr. to go in there and just really have a lot of success just based off of volume punching, you know, and just so long as he can avoid one of them big ass no look left hooks or overhand rights, which is very difficult because Danny Garcia, one thing about him, he's got great timing. But if he can do that, the fight becomes very interesting. But it is what it is. We're not gonna make much more than this of what it's supposed to be. Okay, this fight is supposed to be a showcase fight for Danny Garcia to go on there, beat up on Jose Benavidez Jr. And drum up some interest for potentially big fights at 154 against the likes of Tim Tszyu, Jermell Charlo, Tony Harrison, these kind of guys. So, if I was Danny Garcia's manager at 154, this is a good fight against Benavidez Jr. Maybe after this a fight against a guy like a Luis Arias type of opponent, and then after that you can look for like a step up against like a Jermell Charlo, a Tim Tszyu, Tony Harrison, something like that. So that would, if I was in the position of managing Danny's career, that's kind of how the route I would take him, and I think PBC, if they have any sense about it, that's the route they should go. You know what I'm saying? But that's the news, man. July 30th, Danny Garcia taking out Jose Benavidez Jr. at the Barclays Center, making his return to boxing. Make of that what you will. I had a chance to actually, I saw Danny Garcia in person on New Year's Day here in Florida at the Hard Rock, and he was there. And I asked him, I said, are you really going up to 154? And he said, yeah, I'm going up to 154. And I said, well, when you go up to 154, you got to fight with a bit more urgency, because, we didn't really do that the last couple fights at 147, So he's doing it now. Hopefully Danny Garcia gets into a position now where like he starts fighting with more urgency, because look, he didn't really show it in a lot of his big welterweight fights. And my thing with Danny is this: these guys hit harder than the guys at 147, and your power wouldn't carry up at 147 the way we thought it would. I mean, it was respectable, it was good. People couldn't get caught with it. But now it's like, okay, how much can the Danny Garcia power really carry up? I would expect PBC to be very selective with, Danny Garcia's matchmaking at 154, because of the fact that they know this fact, because of the fact that, Danny Garcia, whether you like it or not, this is a guy that's gotten everything you'd want out of boxing. Money, he's got a bunch of rental properties here in South Florida, businesses, okay? So he's, in my opinion, I think he's been a complacent fighter for a lot of years, and I would expect them to really be careful with how they match him at 154. But yeah, I rambled enough. You guys give me your thoughts on this fight. Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe, and like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on True School Sports, the home of boxing. If you made it this far, do me a favor and do yourself a damn favor. Hit that subscribe button, and surely you will not be disappointed. True School Sports bringing you the latest and greatest, the untouchable, boxing content, interviews, news videos, breakdowns, live fight reaction extravaganza. We've got a great community of people here, boxing fans all over the world, from America to the UK to Australia, and on and on and on. So join the empire today. Hit that subscribe button. Take care and God.